Good morning, Floss Tube. This is Donna from Mochwapa, and I'm all ready. I completed Stitch Mania. I did at least one new start every day, and a lot of them are big per usual because that's what I like to do. Anyway, I'll get on with it. I'm going to go through the whole lot, then it's all finished. Right now, I started out with the Queen of the May by Hands Across the Sea, the Lucy Nevier. Don't know if I said that right, but that's it. And I started this. I'm not going to go through the linen bits because there's just not enough time. I started on the border of this. This one's absolutely huge, and I've got a big piece of linen, so it's rather large. And then next, I've got my list over here. On the second, no, also on the 1st of May, I did 2 starts, and I did 2 hours each on each one. I did the Bodiam Castle. This I picked up in England last year. And it's of a castle in East Sussex, in Roberts Bridge, East Sussex. And, oops, do the right side. It's a small one, but that's as far as I got. I've just got the start of the top of the castle. So it's got a long way to go. So I'm just tossing stuff to the side, and I literally will be going into my bag and grabbing out the next lot as I go. The next one was called Chrysanthemum, which I will find eventually. It'll get much quicker towards the very end. Chrysanthemum was quite fun. I may take some of these out to the top. It's quite fun having 35. It certainly will have a wide variety to choose from in the future, and you'll see why. God, sorry about this. Maybe it would have been better to have them all lined up on the bed. It's bound to be the last one I'll choose because then I won't look anymore. Okay, found it. Yay. Yay, team. Okay, I do have a few. Chrysanthemum. This is a Lanart pattern, and this one I picked up in New Zealand, and that's what it looks like when it's completed. And I've just started at the corner in the top on this side. I generally start on the upper left-hand corner, and I do grid. So sorry about seeing the grids. It's falling off my lap. Oh, this is madness. Absolute madness. And there you go. You should have seen me setting them up. And that's just the start. That I was very frustrated when I first started it, but I actually quite like it now. It's pretty. I've got a lot of things that will be a lot of fun to work on. So, well, one's under. Dorcas Haynes bit the dust. Okay, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow was the next one on that day. It was fun. A whole lot of fun to show you. I do find it. You get to see the side of my body this way. I may have to show you another one. What a shame. It's not that one. And it's not that one. Okay, I will give up shortly, and it'll have to come out of order. I may just start grabbing them. Cut Through Pirate Ship was the next day, which is the 3rd. And this is a bothy one. And it's bothy threads. I may just show through the plastic. It'll save a lot of hassle. And I just got to the flag after all that. And that's on a bit of Ada. And that's quite fun. I like the bothy threads. They're quite well organized and they're pre-sorted and all that. So that bothy prints are a lot of fun. Should get a nice little bonus from bothy, eh? Okay, and then I have a beauty. It's a real pretty, and this is by Perman. It's got everything. It's got everything. And these are just by numbers. I picked this up in Brussels. Went there last year on a trip, and husband saw the shop and he said, "Go in. Oh, you can get more than one," which I didn't. And then afterwards I thought, nah, let's be real. And I thought I'd see heaps more, and then afterwards I was kicking myself, per usual. Everything with the Perman kits is all organized. They label it. I tend to get the DMC mainly for cost and the rest of it because I like doing a variety. This sucker is going to be a big one, per usual. I'm mad. But that's what the size of it, which is humongous. And I just started with the fancy border. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And if I hold it still, it'll actually focus. And they come out so nice. Wouldn't mind going back there. So, who knows? We've got some plans this year. Because we don't tend to like the winter. Now, why get cold when you don't have to? So, sometimes we travel. I was hoping I'd find... Aha, it's here. Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. This was, I did this on the 2nd. I did 2 starts that day, the chrysanthemum and this one. And love this. Absolutely love Carriage House samplings. And they're so much fun. So this will be a biggie eventually. Well, biggie as far as you never know what to expect with them. And this one I loved. The bat. Okay, Donna will hold it still. And I love the way his eyes bugged. It was so much fun. And so, especially with School of Magical Stitches and Needlework, they tend to have a bit of bizarre little ideas on what to stitch. And I find them quite fun, and that one will be quite neat to adapt to. Okay, next was Words to Live By. This was Tiny Modernist. That, I have no idea. Oh yeah, that goes in there. Okay, the pile on the lap is getting smaller. Words to Live By. This was a bit of fabric that I actually found at the hospice and dyed it myself because I liked it. And Words to Live By has this. This is by Linen and Threads. It's a freebie pattern that you can get off the internet, and it's got all sorts. So I started one of them up here. I dyed it with red, the fabric that I got, and I think the fabric was something like $4. Cheap Ada. And the rip was the most expensive part of it. And I just started the outside lacy edge on that, and that's pretty. And I like linen and threads. I've got this one that I bought. I think I said it was free. It's not free. This one, you buy the thing and then it comes each month. But it's really pretty. So I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't decided if I'm going to take that when I go away for a trip. Okay, I'm going to shove that in there. Over the pile to fall. It'll be fun to pick all this up. Okay, words to live by. Then I did a bit of a different one. I had some old fabric that was lying around, just gathering dust. And I decided to do the map of Hawk Run Hollow. And it's going to be the which will happen later. Okay, Van Gogh, the picture, which is upside down. That's it. And it's just a picture of some flowers. So I decided that was quite nice to look at. And hubby likes Van Gogh, so he's got a print in bedroom, so that's kind of fun. So I thought I'd do this for him. And it was fiddly. For some reason, I don't know why, but the flower came and started up. Not good, I even shut it right side. And so that'll be nice. It's a smaller one compared to most of mine, so I could get it finished. But that was the 8th. And then I had one that I picked up at Guild. Picked up this for $10, the complete kit. And it's a DMC kit. And it's a blue tile bell pull. And it's Persian. So it was a bit fiddly at the top. And it's a long sucker. See? Great big long thing. But it's not very wide. So at the top, that's the top. The trouble with doing so many different projects is it takes a while to get your head around each one and get it out and get it organized and that sort of thing. So I tend to do that at the end of the day so that I'd be ready to go the next day. So I'll just sort of shove that in there. Half of them I'm just tossing to the side. It's going to be a jolly big mess. Next one that I found that I did on the 8th is Dorcas Haynes. I saw this last year while I was away, and I've seen it before. It's by the Scarlet Letter, and I love their charts. They're always fairly well organized. And this wasn't too bad to start with. Great big, it's pretty good size, linen. And started with the letters at the top. And you got, doing the alphabets with a sampler, should be fun. That's from the Fitzwilliam, and that's one of the places that I want to go this year. So hopefully be able to do that for a bit. Still looking for the map of Hawk Run Hollow, but it hasn't emerged yet. His Name Shall Be, which is by Needleworks Praise. This is one that I've had in my collection for a long time, and it's one that is beautiful. Beautiful stitches. Darlene Osteen, per usual. Yay, done her quite a few times. So beautiful stitching, and looks just gentle. So I made a start on that. It's not too big for me. So it's a beautiful little sampler, nice and gentle, which at times is what you want. Then Jennifer Gilbert. That's another one of Nicola's. Started a couple of hers. Chairs on it. On one of them. Not that one. Not that. Oh, wasn't fun. I get some of these up here. I might be able to actually see what I'm wanting. Aha! Yay! I didn't find that one, but I found another one. What a surprise. The map of Hawk Run Hollow. I ended up falling down the Hawk Run Hollow hole, and I ended up getting all of them. So there's that. And it's marvelous designs. So creative. And this was a bit of fabric that I had lying around for ages, and heaven knows what it is. Sorry about that. But I just started the hawk at the corner and working my way around. So just the start of his wing, the end of it. But that was quite fun. I love the colors with the Hawk Run Hollow. I think they're quite relaxing. And what's really, you can tell with the different designers, most of them stick to the same palette. So I'm certain when I start running out with one, that eventually I'll get down to making it easier. Okay. Sewing with Mama. And various other, oh, here's Jennifer Gilbert. Yay. Eventually it's getting smaller. This is a Hands Across the Sea design. I like Nicola's things. This one's quite pleasant. I know I'm rabbiting through them, but there's a lot. You won't believe this. Uploading this video is probably going to take me 2 or 3 hours. It is so slow. And that's the start of it. Not much. Oops. Look better without the threads in the way. Pretty border. If I showed it together, yeah, that's better. Okay. So that was quite nice and pleasant. Okay. Those are both the, yay. Okay, I'll do the Elizabeth Meadow one. This I picked up, crap, sorry, at the Museum of London. Like going to that whenever we go to London, because usually they've got some needlework. A lot of the museums do, and they usually find a place in a lot of the historical museums, which we're into, to show you the different needlework in England, which is phenomenal. So, enjoyed this. It was a really funny top border. It was almost like little crosses. So it was quite fiddly, and it, if I hold two together with the threads down, yeah, that shows up better. And they're not very even, so you really must count quite carefully when you do it. And what I do is I tend to grid the fabric, and then as I go, and then I remove it. And I find that if you do the careful gridding and stuff, and the careful pull out, it doesn't show later. And then when I do the stretching and lacing and framing and stuff, that works out quite good. And it's a whole lot cheaper than taking it in. Then I did, I started the other ones. Victoria Sampler has a collection, and I'm going to do all three at once and show you what they're like. It's gold, frankincense, myrrh, and I did two of them. I started myrrh before, but I'll just show you all three. This is gold. Now you can't get a lot of them here in New Zealand, a lot of the supplies. So getting them I've had to adapt a lot. Now a lot of these have beading and braiding, and some of the braids and some of the specialty threads I've been able to get, but a lot I haven't been able to. And you can see that there's a whole lot of fiddly stuff. So this has been, takes me out of my comfort zone. Now this was some of that fabric that I got from hospice, and some of it had leftover loved stitching, and heaven knows what design that is, or if it's even right side up, which it probably wasn't. Looks like washing, and almost looks like a toadstool down at the bottom. But I decided to do it showing the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So this is the gold. This bit of fabric cost me $2. It's just Ada. That's the frankincense. That was using the Etoile. I threw out some because I couldn't stand it. And so I decided to just persevere and do that. It's got some beading in it, and it's been fun. And this is the myrrh. Gold frankincense myrrh. So that's the start of the myrrh one. So that had fiddly stitching and stitching underneath the fiddly stitching, and then satin stitching. So that's been a real challenge, not only getting all the junk, but also, like, look at that down at the bottom. That's almost like a braid. Very fiddly stitching. So, gonna enjoy that. Okay, next, I literally am throwing it just to the side. Horseplate by Bothy. Bothy threads. And I just started there on this horse's mane. It's really, it didn't get too much more than just the start of the mane. Which I will show you. Get some of the threads out of the way. Kind of fun. So, Bothy threads have very imaginative, playful stitching, which is kind of fun sometimes because you do some real serious stuff, and it's good to change your headspace and do some fun things. Then I went back to Hawk Run Hollow. Eventually. Yeah, that's it. The Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. Easier sometimes to slow. And a lot of fun things in here to stitch to take you out of your comfort zone. And the squares, once you get those, they're fine. And per usual, now some of these kits, this was I think this one of them that I got, the Houses of Hawk Run Hollow, the 781 was no longer around. So I'm having to adapt between 780 and 782. But this one was fine. This had all the different things. So that's the start of the lighthouse. So that'll be fun. And that has mermaids and whales and looks like a porpoise and moons and all sorts. So that's been fun. Then I went and started work on one that was quite different. And like I say, it's a bit eclectic. This was day 16, Chinese lady. That's all I'm calling her. That's what she looks like. Directions are in Chinese, which I don't know. But it's one of those color things. And it's got the directions and the floss over on the side. And I just started down at the bottom, filling them in. So that's going to be a fun one, but that I got in Singapore, not in China. So, and the lady in Singapore started reading through, and she thinks it's in Mandarin. Stop the crackling noise, I hate that. The frankincense. Then I did Cowboy Cat. This is one that I've had in the collection for a bit. Creative Accents. And First National Bank. And it's got a bunch of kitties. So they look fun. And it's going to be a wide one. You know, shake it down, and this is the start of the cat in the corner. And I'll fold it back so you can actually see the stitching. And that's just on Ada. So I have a wide variety. Like I say, some of these kits have been in my collection for yonks, because when we travel and do things, I tend to go to cross-stitch shops and needlework areas. Cats Are Perfect was another one. And this one, I think I picked up at, this one was a hospice one. And it was just lying there, and it was $8. And this is a dimensions kit. And I just started generally up at the top, and with a bit of the border and a bit of the design at the top. And I've officially started on one of the first kitties. So that's been kind of fun. And they gave enough floss for three at once. 3 strands, but that just gobbles up your floss. But it's not my usual, so I'm just going except for the corners. I'm going to do it too, and I think it'll show out. Now, the other one that I did that was fun was Hawk Run Hollow. These are my nice little bags that I picked up at one stage. I had the other sort of breathable ones, which the zipper sort of went. These are just plastic, thus you can hear the noise. But they actually are quite good size. So, Houses of Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings, which looks even better right side up. And that's quite good. And started that with some leftover fabric that I had around the house. And this is currently inside out. Enjoyed this. So this is kind of fun. Not going to be able to move. I'm just throwing it on the floor. The next one was a fun one to get. I decided to get the Queen Sampler, which involved getting the fabric from Traditional Stitches, and they were very good about getting me not only the pattern and the sampler and kept me very well informed, but it took about 6 weeks to get the fabric, which was unfortunate, but nevertheless I finally got it. Love it. This was put out originally by I think it's Darlene, and I had different feelings. I lost some of it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have a lot to pick up. By Needles Praise. And Needles Praise put out and gave the silk conversions and stuff, and Linda Vasson, I think it is, she did a stitch guide for the Queen Sampler for Needles Praise, so I got that too. And they weren't much better for me finding them, so I converted them all to DMC, because I can afford that and I can get the stuff when I need it. And so I got the other bits, the fiddly little dinky bits, which I could have gotten here too. But I included that with my order and I converted it all to DMC. The stitches are fun. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. It's going to be a bit of a long one, but the stitching, I'll fold it back on itself. This is the reverse back stitch, alternating double back stitch. It's fun. It is fun. It's not just cross stitch, and the instructions, and especially having both, are very good. So very pleased with that. Oh, this is going to be a mess. It's all over the room. But that's how life goes sometimes. Teapot Mouse was another one. I did this on the 22nd. This is another Bothy Threads one with a mouse. He's cute. So that was a bit of a relief after the other. And I started at the top, and that's pretty much all I got done. Started at the top and put this in the wrong place first, and then put it in the right place, and that's the start of the mouse. So that will be a fun one. Garden of Prayer. This was a different one. This is a kit that I got ages ago. It's by Thomas Kincaid. It's almost like a painted canvas, which is different. So I started this, and God, opening these. The Thomas King, and it's soft. Soft, soft, soft. So it's very pretty. Very pretty. And I didn't think I'd have to grid, but I was wrong, because it's much easier when I grid. And you start going through and start putting the flowers and the foliage in. And that's going to be nice. But that's very pretty and gentle. Okay? So that was quite pretty. You don't need to see the other picture. And it's soft, soft. I love working with, to me, the sizing for some of these, they have the actual starch in the process for some of the Ada, and it doesn't need to be. I've gotten some that is just beautiful to stitch on. It's just soft, it's pliable, not real stiff. I know there's some people who like it stiff. Not me personally. And then I went to South Africa, not this year, but on one of the trips to Kruger Park. Of course, got some needlework there, and this is one of the big 5. Okay, and so I just started with the lion, the regal lion. And that's the start of him. And he can go back in the collection. The floor, the floor. The line of the fabric collection. One of these is that. Don't you love it? The Fabric Collector. This is an Australian counted cross stitch. So that's been a few years since I went over there and got this. And because I like quilting too. Yes, I do quilting. And I'm doing the lower one. And I just barely started with the spools. Haven't put the satin stitch in yet in those, so I didn't get too far with that. After this I can store them. Now I'm going to show you a real bugger. It drove me bananas. Theaguvina. Don't know why it was, oh, I know why it was so hard. When I say that some are divided off and into groupings, it's true. That's beautiful. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So, started that, and the patterns are really small for the design bits. So, started with some that had circles, and they had lines going this way. And it wasn't till I got quite a bit, you know, the line through the circle. It wasn't till I got quite a few in that I discovered that it was supposed to be that way. So I had to pull all those out, and of course they're all over one thread. So I got really frustrated. You can see all the fuzz from where I threw it out. So I just barely started on this, and I decided this can go into the Donna's pissed off pile and sit there for a while till I feel better about it. So that's called heaven. So I'm not always calm. Okay. Yeah. That's the one the chair was on. This is another Hands Across the Sea design. Remember, Eliza Knight, remember now thy creator. I like this one. I think it is lovely, and I think it'll be really good. It's a very different one. And the fabric that I chose was this one. This is handy. Newcastle 40 count country mocha. And I discovered that I like working on 40 count for some of these big samplers if I've got adequate lighting, and that is the biggie. Adequate lighting is more of a bonus to me. There. This is going to be pretty. I just think the whole design's scrummy. The adequate lighting is more important to me than the magnification. Once you get the adequate lighting, it's surprising what you can see when you turn the lights on. On top of the queen. Next, Elizabeth Bevan. That's another one. This one quite surprised me. I had this, took it all the way to England, didn't do anything on it, and then came back. And it's turned out neat. This reminds me, because of the variety in the border and the wide variety of things in the border, I think it'll be quite fun. So this was a bit of fabric that I had lying around, so I decided that was good enough, because a lot of this, this is almost like a raw linen. Oh, I will do it better together. And that's the start of it. It's got a different border. Oops, sideways. There. And that's going to go on the floor. So that's pretty. So that's a chair. And that one's going to be a lady. So that's going to be beautiful. Okay, that fell on the floor, so this can join it. Next, on day 29, was Winter Reverie. I did 2 of these. The winter, I've already started winter. I accumulated one that had been started by a friend, Winter Reverie 1. So I'm completing that one. And this is 2. So I started this, and most of the threads were in it. But it's DMC, so it should be fine. And these start out in 1 thread. So, because that's just the misty snow. So, where we live in New Zealand, about not too far away is snow. And, sorry, one's on the floor. And, but we don't get snow. Watch, it'll snow today because I said that. It is the first day of winter. So, now, here's one that's been in Donna's collection for a while. This is the drawn thread, and this is called the Sanctuary. Very, very pretty. Very challenging. A lot of stitches. A lot of goofy threads that I didn't have, so I decided to adapt again and did it. So I'm quite pleased with it. Stitching is not where I usually start in the corner, in the top, but I have had to break Donna's little rule and started in the middle, which I don't usually do. So that's it. And I started that one in double for some reason, then I went to single, and I think I'll stick with that. I'll do that one in double because it's just the center, that'll be the focus, and most of the time I'll do it in a single strand. And it's got a wide variety of stitching and pull threads and everything, and funny stitching, so it will be fun. And as I've adapted it to stuff that I can get, it'll be accessible. a Woman Seweth sample. I think I picked this one, oh, heaven knows where I picked this one up. I'll have to see where it comes from. It's a Bucilla kit, so a Yankee one. Just a semi-good one. The fabric's different, sort of a rougher fabric, which will do, and the color. Didn't like the color when I took a look at it. It was sort of pukey green, but the pukey green looks good in very simple, basic stitching. So that'll be kind of fun and relaxing, surprisingly. Better than what I thought it'd be. But that's Needles and Hoop, and it's designed by, who knows? Oh well, I can't be stuck looking it up, personally. I have a spare one. Oh, Sewing with Mama picture. This was another, I had two of these. It drove me bananas. They were balls of wool, of floss, and you had to sort them out before you even started to think about anything. This was one of them. They're by Candamar Designs. Pretty designs. Like that one's neat, and it's Sewing with Mama. So I just started in the corner and working my way down. So it's boring, but that's just two separate pictures of bluish gray. So until it gets hooks into the picture, it's hard to get too excited by just a bunch of blue-gray. And lucky last, I went back on the Winter Reverie number 3. And this one, looking for the picture, they're all slightly different. So that got a bit of a way. Okay, and that's that. So I'll stop the crackly and get into the talking. Like I say, I did, there were 31 days. I started at least one each day, and I did 35 of them. So that's quite a few. So that brings my total whip that I've got current ones to 133. Now, what are the plans for now? I intend to continue stitching. In fact, this is Queen's birthday weekend. So I've decided, I got my Tiny Decisions app, and I loaded in all the royalty and kings and queens and various things onto my Tiny Decisions app. And once a day I am spinning it and doing at least 200 stitches in them. So at the moment I'm working on the Golden Jubilee one that I have mentioned in the past, Queen Elizabeth Golden Jubilee sampler. So I'm working on that today. I started off yesterday doing, because it's Friday for the weekend, and so I started with the Lucy Navier, the 2018 Queen of the May. So I did 200 stitches on that. The Queen sampler will be one of those. I've got a Princess Diana sampler. I've got Kings and Queens by Balthy and some others. So it will be fun to do. And I'm counting stitches while I'm doing that because it's also for the Magical Stitches, the School of Magical Stitches and Needlework, so I'm still in that. And that should be good. So plan on doing a lot of stitching. In the next couple months I'll be traveling a bit, so going back to the UK and traveling around, and hope to go to the Fitzwilliam and seeing what we want, seeing grandkids. So I'll check with daughter and see if I can use some prop models to hold up some of the stitching if I do some. I'm only doing limited stitching, a lot of the big stuff. Of course, can't take all the stash with me as I go. So anyway, this is it for now. Don't know when I'll do the next update. They will probably be smaller updates with limited stitching opportunities. So you all take care. I hope to go to the Fitzwilliam and see some of the samplers and stuff that they've got there, and of course the Victoria and Albert and that sort of thing. You all take care. Happy stitching. I hope it's a lot of fun. You take care of yourself wherever you are, and try and look after yourself. Enjoy the stitching. It's a beautiful hobby. Well, craft. Anyway, bye. Like if you like it, subscribe if you like it, and this will probably take me 3 hours to upload, so I don't edit. What you got is what you got, crackles and all, because it's too much fiddly, and it takes ages to go through this. It's 52 minutes, and so sorry it's about a long one, but that's the way it was. Okay, bye. Happy stitching.